A grief-stricken father, Arthur Gray, has spent 4 years mourning his son Nick, who vanished in a tragic boating accident. But a frantic 4 a.m. phone call claiming to be Nick shatters his reality. When Arthur opens his door, he finds not his son, but a terrified young stranger named Tom, a grandson he never knew existed. Tom brings with him a dead man's secret journal and a chilling revelation. Nick's death was no accident. Together they must unravel a decades-old conspiracy involving a corrupt judge and a ruthless family determined to bury the truth along with anyone who digs it up. I like to realize that our community covers all corners of the world. One quick question: from which corner of the planet are you watching me? Write your country below and let's see how far we've come together. The grandfather clock in the hallway chimed the quarter hour, 4:25 a.m., when the phone on my bedside table jarred me awake. At 72, you learn that calls in the dead of night are rarely harbingers of joy. They are usually heralds of catastrophe. My hand shook as I fumbled for the receiver, sleep clinging to me like cobwebs. The caller ID was blank. Hello? Silence greeted me, followed by the sound of breathing, ragged, desperate, terrified. Dad? The voice was a ghost of a whisper, weak and trembling. Dad, please. You have to open the door, it's freezing. My blood turned to slush in my veins. I knew that voice. I knew the cadence, the pitch, the vulnerability. Nick! I choked out, my throat seizing. Nick, is that you? Please, Dad, just open the door. The line clicked dead. I sat paralyzed in the dark, the phone still pressed to my ear. This was impossible. This was madness. Nick had been dead for 4 years. 4 years, 3 months, and 16 days. I had marked every sunrise without him. My son had disappeared on Lake Superior during a solo sailing trip. The authorities said the currents were treacherous. They found his windbreaker, his wallet, his deck shoes, but Nick himself had vanished into the cold, unforgiving deep. And now he was calling me from the grave? I forced myself up, my joints popping in protest. The hardwood floor bit into my bare feet as I moved through the silent house. Each step felt heavy, like walking underwater. This had to be a hallucination. Grief finally snapping the last tether of my sanity. But as I reached the heavy oak front door, my hand hovering over the deadbolt, I heard it. A knock. Soft. Tentative. Dad? The voice drifted through the wood. Please. I threw the bolt and yanked the door open. The porch light flickered, illuminating a figure standing in the driving rain. A young man, maybe 25, drenched and shaking violently. Dark hair plastered to his skull. Clothes clinging to a frame that looked too thin to hold him upright. It wasn't Nick. But the resemblance. It was like looking at a ghost. The same high cheekbones, the same haunted, deep-set eyes. But this boy was younger than Nick had been at the end. And when his gaze locked with mine, I saw a raw desperation that twisted a knife in my gut. I'm sorry, the stranger stammered, his teeth chattering. I'm so sorry. I didn't have anywhere else to go. They're hunting me, and I'm scared. You're the only family I have left. Who are you? I managed to ask, though the words felt foreign in my mouth. My name is Tom, he said, swallowing a sob. Tom Morrison, and I think I'm your grandson. I stepped aside, ushering him in. What else could a man do? He collapsed onto the rug in the foyer, shivering uncontrollably. I grabbed the quilt from the back of the sofa and draped it over him, then went to the kitchen to put the kettle on. My hands wouldn't stop shaking as I filled it. A grandson. Nick had never spoken of a child, but in those final years, the distance between us had grown into a chasm. When I returned with tea, Tom was sitting on the edge of the couch, clutching the mug with white-knuckled intensity. The steam rose between us like a veil. Tell me, I said, sinking into my leather armchair. Start from the beginning. Tom took a ragged breath. I didn't know about Nick until 6 months ago. My mother, Rebecca Morrison, she died last year. Ovarian cancer. Before the end, she told me the truth. That the man who raised me wasn't my father. That my biological father was Nick Gray, and he died before I was born. Rebecca Morrison. I searched my memory for the name, but found nothing. She said they met in Thunder Bay, Tom continued. Summer of 2002. She was working the docks at the marina. He was up there with friends. They had a fling, and by the time she knew she was pregnant, Nick was gone. She tried to track him down, but he'd moved, changed his number. She gave up, married a local guy, and raised me thinking he was my dad, the summer before Nick's senior year. He had spent those months up north, ostensibly working at a fishing camp. I remembered it because he sounded lighter then, unburdened. Why the secret? I asked. Why wait until she was dying? She wanted to tell me, Tom said, his voice cracking. But her husband, my stepdad, he forbade it. He was a jealous, controlling man. After he died 3 years ago, she still kept quiet. Shame, maybe. Or fear. I don't know. He set the tea down and fished a photograph from his damp jeans. Water stained and crinkled, but clear enough. He handed it to me. There was Nick, impossibly young, standing on a pier with his arm around a striking woman with sun-bleached hair. They were laughing, squinting into the sun. And in Nick's eyes, I saw a spark I hadn't seen in decades. Pure, unadulterated happiness. Mom kept this in a lockbox, Tom said, with letters he wrote that summer. He loved her, I think, but then he just went silent, stopped writing, stopped calling. I knew why. That autumn, Nick met Vanessa, beautiful, wealthy, socially ambitious Vanessa. She swept him up into her world of galas and country clubs, and Rebecca in Thunder Bay was erased. You said someone is hunting you, I said, bringing us back to the present. Who? Tom's expression hardened. Vanessa, and her brother Marcus. The names landed like physical blows. Vanessa, Nick's fiancée. The grieving widow who wasn't. Explain, I said. After Mom died, I wanted to know my father. I started digging. I found Vanessa in Toronto. She seemed surprised when I called, but welcoming. She invited me to come and see her, said she had some of Nick's things I should have. Tom's jaw tightened. But when I got there, the vibe was wrong. She grilled me. Wanted to know exactly what my mother had told me, what documents I had. Her brother Marcus was there too. They kept exchanging looks. It felt like walking into a trap. A trap for what? I didn't know then. But I overheard them that night. I was staying in the guest room. Vanessa said, "If the kid finds out the truth, we lose everything." And Marcus said, "Then we handle him like we handled Nick." The air in the room seemed to vanish. Handle him like we handled Nick. What are you implying? I asked, though I already knew the answer. I'm not implying anything, Tom said, looking me dead in the eye. Nick didn't drown by accident. They murdered him. And now they want to tie up the loose end. Me, I wanted to reject it, to call him paranoid. But the pieces fit too perfectly into the holes in my own grief. I bolted, Tom said. Slipped out the back door and ran. I've been running for 6 months. Cash only, burner phones. But they track me. I see Marcus's car, I get silent calls. They're closing in. Why come to me? I asked. If they're tailing you, you've brought them to my doorstep. Because you're the only one who might listen. He wiped his eyes. And because I have something. Proof. He pulled a small silver USB drive from his pocket. Mom kept his voicemails. On an old answering machine tape. I digitized them. In the last message he ever left her, right before he vanished from her life, he sounded scared. Tom held out the drive. He said, I stumbled onto something about Vanessa's family. It's bad, Beck, really bad. I can't marry her knowing this. I need time to figure out what to do. 2 weeks later, he was with Vanessa, and Rebecca never heard from him again. I took the drive. You think he found something that got him killed 4 years later? I think he found it then, buried it, and it resurfaced. I think when he tried to leave Vanessa or expose them, they silenced him. We sat in the heavy silence, the rain drumming a frantic rhythm against the glass. "We need the authorities," I said. "With what? A 20-year-old voicemail? They'll laugh us out of the station." And the Hartfords, Vanessa's family, they own half the judiciary in this province. Her father was a judge. Her uncle sits on the appellate court. They are the law. He was right. I knew the power the Hartfords wielded. After Nick died, Vanessa had been a whirlwind of efficiency, managing the police, the coroner, the estate. I had been too broken to notice how convenient her efficiency was. "Journals," I said suddenly. "Nick was a writer. He documented everything. Vanessa told me she cleaned out his apartment and found nothing, but Nick never stopped writing. It was his therapy." Tom looked up. "Where would he hide them?" "I don't know, but I have an idea." I stood up. "Come with me." We went upstairs to Nick's childhood bedroom, a shrine to a life cut short. Textbooks, trophies, a dusty guitar. "Vanessa gave me his work laptop," I said, opening the closet. "But this was his personal machine from college, an old brick of a laptop." I pulled it from the top shelf. We plugged it in downstairs. It groaned to life, the fan whirring like a jet engine. "Password screen. Try Rebecca," Tom suggested. I typed Rebecca. Incorrect. I tried his birthday. Nothing. Then I remembered the coordinates of the fishing camp he loved. 48.7128. The screen unlocked. My heart hammered. Nick had kept secrets. The desktop was a grid of folders. I clicked on Journal 2004, August 2005, the month he died. August 6, 2005, 12:32 p.m. I found it. I was looking for tax documents in Judge Hartford's study and found a locked file. The key was in the desk. It's a wrongful death suit from '89. A girl died because of a faulty heart valve. Hartford presided. He ruled for the manufacturer, but the bank records in the file show a $500,000 deposit into his offshore account 2 weeks before the verdict. Blood money. The Hartford's empire is built on a dead girl's chest. I read on, sickened. August 12, 2005, 3:52 a.m. I confronted Vanessa. I showed her the copies. She didn't cry. She got cold. She said her father did what was necessary. She said I was naive. When I threatened to go to the RCMP, she laughed, said no one would believe me. Then Marcus arrived. The way he looked at me, like I was a problem to be solved. The final entry, August 17th. August 17th, 2005, 10:17 p.m. I'm going to the police tomorrow. I can't live with this. Marcus is following me. I see his SUV everywhere. If I disappear, the evidence is at the cabin. The fishing camp near Thunder Bay. Stone fireplace. 3rd brick from the left, bottom row. Dad, if you're reading this, finish it. The last words of my son. They murdered him, I whispered, the realization settling like concrete in my chest. And they've been living their lives for 4 years. We have to get that evidence, Tom said. We leave now, I said. The drive to Thunder Bay was a blur of caffeine and anxiety. 8 hours of back roads to avoid detection. The fishing camp was a ruin, reclaimed by nature. But the cabin stood. We found the loose stone. Behind it, a plastic-wrapped package. Inside, bank statements, court transcripts, handwritten notes. The smoking gun. This proves the corruption, I said, but not the murder. We need a confession, Tom said. We hatched a plan. Dangerous, reckless, necessary. We called the investigative journalist I trusted. Gave her copies of everything. Told her to wait for my call. Then I called Vanessa. I found something of Nick's, I told her. I need to show you. Come to the house. Bring Marcus. They arrived at 9 p.m. Vanessa, elegant and poised. Marcus, radiating menace. What did you find? Vanessa asked, sitting on my sofa as if she owned it. I found my grandson, I said. Tom stepped out from the kitchen. Vanessa turned to Stone. Marcus reached for his waistband. Hello, Vanessa, Tom said. Let's talk about the lake. I don't know what you mean, she said, her voice tight. I know about the bribe, I said. I have the files from the cabin, the bank transfers to your father, The wrongful death suit. You have nothing, Marcus spat. Just the ramblings of a dead man. A dead man you killed, Tom said. It was an accident, Vanessa said quickly. Too quickly. Was it? Marcus stepped forward. Or did he fall because he wouldn't shut his mouth? He was going to ruin us, destroy Dad's legacy. He gave me no choice. Marcus! Vanessa screamed. What? Marcus yelled. They know. Look at them. They know. So we finish it, just like the lake. He lunged, not at me, but at Tom. I threw myself in his path, old bones colliding with young muscle. I went down hard, but it bought Tom a second. He grabbed a heavy brass lamp and swung. It connected with Marcus's shoulder with a sickening crunch. Marcus roared and tackled Tom. The sirens began to wail. The journalist hadn't waited for my call. She'd called the police the moment I told her the plan. Officers stormed the house. Marcus was pulled off Tom, shouting obscenities. Vanessa sat on the sofa, weeping silently. Her perfect life dissolving. He chose the truth, I told her as they cuffed her. That's why he was better than all of you. The legal fallout was immense. The 1989 case was reopened. Judge Hartford's legacy was destroyed post-mortem. Marcus received life for first-degree murder. Vanessa got 20 years for conspiracy. Tom moved in with me. He's studying law now. We spend our evenings on the porch, talking about Nick. I tell him about the boy who loved hockey, the young man who loved sailing, the father who loved a woman in Thunder Bay enough to keep her secrets. We survived the storm. The truth is out. And finally, after 4 long years, the water is calm. What did you think of this story? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more amazing content coming your way.